At most camps that I have gone to, first show of hands, how many of you have ever gone to camp? Okay, a fair amount. At most camps I've gone to, there has usually been some sort of symbol or gesture to get everybody quiet. At one camp I was at in Southern California, we had Quiet Coyote. At Mount Cross in the Santa Cruz Mountains, there's Banana Slug. The one that I like, that I'm sure I picked up from some camp along the way, is I love you, but be quiet. With all the gestures, the instructions are pretty much identical. When there's a group gathered and they are making noise for whatever reason and it's time for them to be quiet, when one hand goes up, your hand automatically goes up too. And there is this invisible string that goes from your hand to your mouth that closes it. And you just can't make any noise. And you don't need to be looking at the leader to catch on. Whenever, if you're facing a different way, but you see someone else raising their hand in that gesture, you know. You follow suit. So I want us to practice. See how good we are at Calvary. If you have a neighbor, you can turn and talk to your neighbor. If you're by yourself, just sing a song to yourself or make noise. Go ahead, make some noise. I don't see all the hands yet.
Oh, all right. So I give you.
Okay. Let's try again. Make louder, more noise this time. Okay. I think you all are just about ready to go to camp. Now, I have to confess that when I am one in the crowd, this isn't a task I exactly shine at. I'm not always so good at being quiet at appropriate times. I blame this on the fact that I am more of an extrovert, and with that sometimes comes external processing. If any of you are in my camp, and fellow external processors, you know, anyone else, I see a couple, we are the ones who, when an idea pops in our heads, we feel compelled to say it out loud. Because it's not necessarily until we hear it that we decide if we like the idea or not. Sometimes this is really good for brainstorming. Gives us lots of ideas. But also, we become really good at sticking our feet in our mouth. And we're probably have come accustomed to getting that look telling us to zip it now. Now, if any of you are more introverts who want to identify yourselves as being internal processors, you are the ones who actually think about what you are thinking before you verbalize it. What a concept. Because of this, you tend to appear a little bit more wise than the rest of us. And frankly, sometimes I wonder how internal processors can stand being in the same room as external processors. And so to all of you, I humbly thank you for putting up with me. Well, in Matthew's Gospel today, we witness Peter in all of his sandal-tasting, external processing glory. You know, just a chapter earlier, Peter was commended for processing out loud when Jesus asked the disciples who they thought he was. And Peter practically blurted out that he believed Jesus to be the Messiah, the Son of the living God. But now, 6 days later, as Jesus is taking this inner circle of Peter and James and John up for this mountaintop experience, this may have been a good time for Peter to practice being quiet. I'm sure the disciples just were flabbergasted and had no idea what was going on. When before their eyes they see their teacher, their leader, this one who they were just beginning to grasp the idea of his divinity, begin to shine and glow with the brightest light. And then you imagine their jaws must have just dropped when suddenly Moses and Elijah appeared and began talking with Jesus. Now, I've always wondered how they knew it was Moses and Elijah. It wasn't like they had photo IDs. Did they have name tags? Did they introduce themselves? Did Jesus just tell them later after the fact, hey, you know those guys I was talking with? That was Moses and Elijah. Or did they just know because it made sense? Because though in Deuteronomy there is an account of Moses' death, there was a Jewish tradition that neither Elijah or Moses died earthly deaths, and both of them ascended directly into heaven. Maybe that's why they knew who they were. I'm sure that if this happened, or something close to it happened here and now, every one of you who happens to have a smartphone on you with a built-in camera would start taking pictures or video and uploading them to social media right away as a way to capture the moments, to share what happened, to make it last. And so while Jesus is trying to have a conversation with Moses and Elijah, this is what Peter is yapping about when he says that he wants to build tents or dwelling places for each of them. He's looking for a way to capture the moment, to make it last. Now, James and John, they are internal processors right now where they can just silently observe, but not Peter. He had to process it out loud. And this is where he was basically told to zip it. I love you, but be quiet. When God interrupts Peter to declare Jesus to be God's beloved Son, with whom God is well pleased, and listen to him. Well, Peter manages to finally press mute on himself. And he and James and John just fall to the ground. Because wouldn't we if God had basically just told us to shut our traps? And then Jesus comes and touches them and comforts them. Any doubt that the disciples had had about if Peter was right the week before about Jesus' divinity, those doubts were all wiped away. They had just witnessed Jesus in all his glory. They had just seen the light of God with their very own eyes and lived to tell the tale. This changes everything for them. They didn't need to capture this moment in tents or dwelling places. It was captured in their hearts for all time. And from then on, whenever they had a moment of doubt or distress, they could just remind each other. Remember when? Remember when? We heard an echo of that remember when from the reading from 2 Peter today. Remember when? Those of us who are listening to this Transfiguration story can claim this is our remember when moment also. Whenever we have those moments of doubt, because the world just seems so chaotic, and we are scrambling to seek justice for one another, and we wonder if Christ is even still active in the world today. We remember when that Jesus has come to us in all his glory. And because we know this, we are transfigured. And we can share God's light with one another. And we also can remember that sometimes it's good to just be quiet. As we enter into this season of Lent that starts this Wednesday, maybe we can imagine God giving us the I love you but be quiet gesture. This might be a good time for us to give up external processing for the season and thinking about what we're going to say while the other person is talking. Instead, we can listen. Listen to Christ. Listen to the Christ in each other. Listen to each other's stories and perspectives and experiences. Even when it's hard, especially when we don't want to, because we've already decided that we disagree with that. Or we've already decided that they're the enemy or the outsider or the disruptor. Listen. Read the Gospels this Lent. And listen to Jesus. Listen as Jesus shows us God's radiance and glory and light. Listen as Jesus shows us what love looks like. And listen as Jesus calls us to pick up our crosses and follow. I love you. Listen.